Hey everybody, welcome to your favorite late night Friday night hashcast. It is Variables, episode 66, a little preview to the Polare launch in Michigan. We are joined tonight in the same room by the grace of Yah, Springer Buds, and Chuck D's Dogs. Got a nice empty chair there for maybe a future guest here or two. You guys let us know, please, right now how the audio is because we're just kind of spreading some mics out here, and we have no one to tell us how it's working or not working. So give us some thumbs up. Let us know if you can hear us. Otherwise,
cheers, everybody.
Yeah, how we doing?
Good.
Good.
What's going on? We had some dab. What did we just smoke? We had some raspberry parfait to start, and then what was that second dab we just smoked?
Peach pudding.
Peach pudding. Okay, nice.
They were both very delicious.
Audio is working.
Audio is working. Cool.
Awesome. Thanks, David.
So, what do you know about this launch? You guys have been on Instagram more this week than I have. What do we know about the Polare launch? What are we expecting tomorrow? I believe it's starting with a class, right?
Yep.
Or a demonstration, maybe?
I think it's a little bit of a demo
Okay.
for the first half of the day, and then
Head
down to the dispo and first chance to grab some Pelle off a shelf.
Nice.
And then we're gonna have a nice little sesh all together. And
do you have any idea? These are questions we'll probably have to ask him if we get a hold of him, but or tomorrow. But do you know how many strains he's coming out with or anything like that?
he did post a list.
Really?
I don't know if I've seen a list, but I want to say there's about 5 different strains. I couldn't tell you flavors. I did see he posted a banana conda today or something along those lines.
Okay, well, what's standing out to you? Is that the one that stood out to you?
The one that stood out to me was that Death Coast. I smoked that freaking hash
That's
badge.
tough.
Man, that Death Coast.
That was really good.
What's that cross up then?
It was Death Star, and I looked it up too. I don't remember.
Yeah. Death Star made sense.
Coast something. Lost Coast.
No, I don't remember. Yeah,
I like Death Star though. That's one of the favorites in our area too.
It's very popular. I ran it recently for another caregiver, and it was
East Coast Sour Diesel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a great combo.
Yeah.
It was super chirpy, super loud. I mean, it definitely hit the nose when you open the jar, and it was one of those ones I want to smoke that. It had a couple of flavors with them. They all smelled great, but that one really stood out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what he's done. He's been on the equipment side, playing and learning, and it's gonna be fun.
And the tech side, right? There's a lot of tech that's going into that equipment too. It's not just basic rosin or washing equipment. So I can't really pull up much on my end. But let's see, we got Universal Freeze, Trigger Control, what's up? You got some chat.
I didn't see the wifey's here.
Oh, there you go. There she is up there. So we do have the chat up here, so we'll be able to kind of take your questions, we'll look at your comments, all that fun stuff. Obviously, a little bit different setup than normal, but as long as you guys can hear us and we can yell at you through the screen, I think this will work out. All right, so cold water hash. All right, is this the, what am I looking at here?
That is his freeze dryer controller. Did you see that posted?
I didn't.
So
you
wire it up to your freeze dryer. It's a lot like the Hashi. Have you seen the Hashi?
I've kind of seen the Hashi.
Yeah, so it's the same basic thing. It's wired into all your sensors. It's wired into the control board.
Okay.
So it can read all the sensors. It can control the shelf temp, independent monitoring as well as control. I think his is more a controller, whereas Hashi I thought was more of a monitor.
Okay.
I don't know if do you know if Hashi?
I haven't looked much into it because I don't have a freeze dryer, unfortunately.
Oh,
so
I thought that they had. It's been a while, but his basically replaces the control board. It's his own parameters and controls. And
is it customizable, or is it set to his kind of standards or whatever?
I believe it's modifiable as well. You can change the settings just like normal, but you have more control over the variables.
Ding, 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 ding.
Which we always love. Here's.
Is it on? I wonder if it's on the Polare Exotics, that list of
the
extracts or something.
That's a good point.
Well,
not on his main account.
Yeah. So from what I understand, does it start at 10 tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. So at 10, there will be essentially a demonstration of, I think and hope, maybe both the washing side of things and the pressing side. He's ran a lot of classes and stuff, so he's put out a lot of the on the education side of things, but also along with that is the demonstration. I don't know if this is really like a deep dive into the education side or more or less just a demonstration tomorrow. But then after that, I think, is it 3:00 is the actual launch?
I think 3, and then 3 to 6 was the sesh.
Okay. So and that's over at Green Hippo. And what town is that?
Lawton, Michigan.
Lawton, Michigan.
Which I had never heard of until I was told we were coming.
Yeah.
So
it's, what is it, southwest of Kalamazoo, right?
I want to say yes.
South of Paw Paw, so southwest
of Paw Paw.
of I think we're about a half hour from there.
Yeah, probably not too far north of the border of Indiana, Ohio. I don't know.
It's a good location.
Yeah, it's got to be pretty close to Fort Wayne, like, you know what I mean, like less than an hour.
I didn't think about that, how close to the border it is.
Yeah, maybe not Monroe, but we were talking earlier how like there's so many just crazy border towns with, like, you'll have every little rural town has a Dollar General, but that Dollar General is surrounded by all sides by like dispensaries and grows and stuff.
It will pre-legalization, we used to go south to go buy cigarettes, cross the border to buy smokes for cheaper taxes.
Okay.
And you cross the border and it was literally the same type of thing where it was cigarette shop. Over and over and over. And you go there, you buy 10 cartons and you stock up because 10 cartons is cheaper than 2 in Michigan.
Jeez, that's crazy.
It was wild.
I remember Indiana was the place to go for 190 proof.
Everclear.
Everclear.
Yep. I remember Everclear. Wait, fireworks. We've all crossed the border for fireworks.
Not anymore.
I know. Now we can do them.
They're just kind of everywhere. There's like actual brick and mortar shops, which a lot of those didn't seem to survive. I think a lot of those guys got pretty excited about the, just
everyone's
like emerging market.
Program.
We got fireworks style, blow some shit up. That I was like, oh, everybody can do it. So.
Right. It seems like fireworks are something I buy out of a tent once a year in July, not something that like, why am I buying fireworks in December? It's not a brick and mortar business.
Well, it doesn't seem like it should be, I guess, but I don't know.
We need a firework food truck. That's what we need. Just go around and sell.
What about an ice cream truck? Like fireworks truck?
I want to do an ice cream truck, but I want to sell tacos.
That's just a taco truck. Are there ice cream tacos? Because that's just a chocolate taco.
Oh, choco taco. Now that's probably the best crossover.
Didn't they quit making those? Did they bring them back?
They canceled them. I remember hearing they canceled them, and I was mad.
I remember hearing that because there's a guy that streams video games on like Twitch and stuff, and his name is Choco Taco. First of all, how are you getting away with this? Like, it's like Skittles and stuff in the cannabis industry, but
I think you're okay until you make a lot of money.
Well,
sounds like we have a door knock.
Hopefully it's not the neighbors complaining.
Come on, we're live. Jason.
What's going on, fellas?
We're having fun. How's it going?
Yeah, I'll yep. Sweet.
Yeah.
Where should I sit next to you?
Yeah, we won't tell you what we're calling it.
It's the casting couch. Welcome.
The variables casting couch.
Come
on in, man. Love the sweatshirt. That's awesome.
Hashish.
Nice. I follow him, but I don't think we've ever met.
What's your guys?
Superior Buds.
Frigoli
Free Goalie. I follow you.
Chuck these nugs.
Chuck these nugs.
Yeah.
I was just wondering about who that was today. So that's so funny. Great to meet you. I'm Tommy the Tucker on Instagram.
Right on.
So you could. I mean, they could hear us. We got so 2 mics on the table. There's a camera right there. The chat's up there on the right. Obviously, just lost live right there. We've been going for 10 minutes, just kind of talking about what we were thinking maybe will happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we got Brian from Pelle Polare joining us. He's you guys know him. He's been on the show several times. This is the first time again we've all been in the same room, which is pretty freaking cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
And then say again, Tommy from what's the Instagram handle?
Tommy the Tucker.
Tommy the Tucker.
Owner of the Green Hippo.
Awesome.
Right.
So we got to talk about that too,
Yeah.
because I've been educated today very quickly on what's going on. Well, from these guys' perspectives anyway. So I'm curious to hear about that. But let's start with what's going on tomorrow, man. So we know there's maybe a demonstration, some launch, with some product into the market. There you go.
Branding.
Yeah.
I know how to do that shit.
Impromptu shit.
But what's going on at this Pelle Polare launch tomorrow?
Yeah, man. Well, Tommy is the gracious host, so we're gonna get his spot chat. If you don't know who Tommy is, now you know who he is. It's Green Hippo Provisioning, right?
Yep.
In Lawton, dope shop. First time I saw it today. It's a dope spot, dude.
I just saw your story that you posted. It was at the spot, right? Or was it a story? Or
That's at the secret spot.
Okay.
We'll call it the secret spot, but the dispensary is got the glass shelving in there, and it's
Nice.
clean. It's nice. You guys did a good job.
It's awesome.
There's some not nice dispensaries.
Oh
out
yes.
there, you know?
Yeah.
We were just talking about how the border towns right before we walked in, and how like Monroe, all these rural towns have a Dollar General. Everyone has a Dollar General, right? But that Dollar General is surrounded by 6 sides with dispensaries and grows and shit. Every little border town, it's like that. How far is Lawton from the Indiana border?
Indiana border, probably 40 minutes.
Oh, okay. So it's a little bit of a drive. Still.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not too bad for a store like us when I don't mean to go down that road, but
right.
people drive. Most of our good customers are driving in 3 to 7 hours.
Wow.
Most people in Michigan, especially in our area, think that $30 to $80 ounces is normal. It's not, unless you want radiated chemical-ridden weed or worse, edibles and other products. So it's just an unfortunate circumstance, and we're not millionaires like everyone else, so we don't have the marketing means to let people know that we exist, and basically no one knows that we exist. So,
okay. Well, let's change that and figure that out.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, dude. That's what when Tommy he came to one of the seminars back in the day, right? What year was that?
First seminar 2021 in LA.
Nice.
Yeah.
And we've been homies ever since that day, dude. And when I was, the brand was coming to Michigan, and we were talking about what store to work with. I was like, I know Tommy has a dispensary. Maybe he'd be down to do something together.
It's great.
And he was like, dude, let's do the whole, class and everything out here. So yeah, dude, thank you.
Much
for
love.
letting us make that.
He changed my life doing the class. So it led to a lot of people that I know in Michigan today through the regenerative farming community.
Okay.
I would have never went and met the Cho family or done the Jadam and KNF classes when they came to America. I never met any of those guys out there. So
you just had to, I just put the pieces together. Tommy, you changed your own life. It was just had to come out of your shell and come and meet the peeps at the center. Yeah.
I was always a really closed up guy, so it was a different thing for me going out to LA and going to California again in 2023, just to go up in the mountains and stay with some random people that I had no idea who I was going to meet.
Yeah.
That's
cool. The networking like that, though, it's important, and that's how you learn the tidbits.
Yeah.
The community is in the tidbits too. That's where
the community is huge, and it's so crazy how cannabis and regenerative farming communicates in that regard. Because I just showed up to this random farm, and he asked me my life story, and I could just tell he was a hard-edged guy, and been through a lot. And I told him it, and he's like, I'm so happy you told me that. I'm so happy I had you out here. Thanks for coming to meet me. And he told me, he's like, have you ever heard of Gracie, Third Coast Herbal Collective? And I was like, never. And he's like, check her out when you get home. And I looked her up, went to her first event in 2023. And that is everyone that I called dear to me in life and love.
Cool.
And just a whole community of people that blossomed from that. And I wouldn't have, honestly, I wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for them. A lot of stuff has happened over the past couple of years. I'm 8 years into sobriety. I feel like the biggest change in my life is in the past 6 months. Much love.
Yeah, cannabis changes. People.
So yeah, through that, like literally him, everyone that I hold dear to me in life is because of this guy. And
we're gonna get along great, man.
Connections.
I'm all permaculture. I'm all permaculture food forest up at the house, and yeah, we're all. I mean, our outdoor is just. We don't bring anything in outside.
Heck yeah.
We try to do everything ourselves as much as we can. Not seeds, obviously, but other than that, and I mean, we're just trying everything. We'll throw shit at the wall just to see what fucking. We're in the UP. Who knows what's gonna fucking grow in our sand? We started on a sand dune.
Yeah.
I built 12 inches of soil in some of my areas in my land now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, clover and wildflower meadows and just fruit trees, and we're going nuts this year again. And then we're hopefully going to finish the 20 by 15 greenhouse.
Let's go.
So it'll be awesome.
You guys going to be at Camp Compost this year?
I'm familiar with it. I've never been in the past, but
I guess it depends on when it is.
I think it's August 18th. Not to throw it out there, but it's a life-changing event. I went to that in 2023 as well when I got back from California. And the same guy told me about that, and it was like just crazy. The amount of conversations that you come into, the knowledge, just all around. I started sponsoring last year, doing it again this year as well.
Cool.
It's just a really cool event to be at for the conversations.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I want to back this up because I want to ask you some of the questions that I asked some of our other guests that we have on the show. Tell me about the first time you ever smoked weed.
First time I ever smoked weed, I was probably like 14, and it's like transition in between like 7th and 8th grade, I think, and basically they called me one hit wonder for a while because I took a hit and I didn't even get high, but I had such paranoia that my parents were gonna find out I smoked weed. I like put my clothes in the dryer, sprayed this old granny perfume on me and everything. And I got home and my dad picked me up from the spot that I was smoking and I got in the car and he's like, how's it going? And I was like, oh, pretty good. And I look right at the window the whole way home. It was tough. After that, I didn't smoke for a while just because the stuff that we got sold was so bunk that it wasn't good anyways. Right. But I was like, man, I'm never doing that again. That was the worst experience of my life. Yeah. And I finally had some good weed and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Now I understand. And that was about 6 months later. But with my journey, that's kind of crazy because I was already an opiate addict for 2 years.
Okay.
So when I found cannabis at 14, I realized you could grow it in the woods for free. Yeah. And then have money to buy real drugs. Just a super messed up situation.
Slippery slope.
When people talk about weed being like a gateway, it pisses me off so much because it's like, what about kids being put on ADHD meds or antidepressants? Anything,
second grade,
I mean, they shoved me full of Tylenol 3s after the Marine Corps. I mean, 24 a day of T3. And just codeine, constant. I was a fucking zombie for years. And then finally I'm like, this is dumb. And I just cut it. I stopped. I had to. And then I'd already been smoking, but then I just increased my smoking. I realized, okay, that just takes care of the swelling and then it doesn't hurt. I don't need stupid pills.
Yeah, that's I've had that conversation a couple times recently. It's like, I guess I just don't know enough about it nowadays, but like I wonder where that like pill situation is, you know what I mean? Because they've done a lot to like pull back like how much, they're prescribing at a time and all that.
They do it because of the Netflix documentaries.
Right.
So when those Netflix documentaries came out, I had homies like, I've been sober for 8 years. So even then, they were starting the process before it was even televised. But in Michigan specifically, they started a process which is called a pain clinic. So you have to go to a pain clinic, piss in a cup, prove that you don't have cannabis in your system, and they'll write you scripts. So just like anything in the world, you go and keep telling them, if they don't see you as like a freaking junkie when you come in, they're going to write you whatever you want. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, come down to a crooked doctor. They can still write scripts of 120 oxys, just like back in the day. It's no different. All you got to do is say that you got the pain. Well, who are they to say that you don't? As long as you're pissing in that cup and you're not pissing for cannabis, they'll write you the script.
Are they just looking for cannabis, or
that's the big thing. If you ever pop for cannabis, you'll never basically be let back into the program, from my understanding.
What if you have like a med card? Do they not?
You can't go that route.
Really?
That's not an option.
Interesting.
Wow.
Huh. That's wild. I didn't realize that. Yeah, because
I think the Veterans Affairs, they do the same thing. If any of the vets have cannabis in their system,
we weren't allowed. I mean, it's a little better now because they're treating PTSD now with it. So veterans have the VA is coming around a bit, but it's still federal.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's federal, right?
They'll do federally funded testing, but they won't let it actually happen.
Yeah. But then, my mom was a nurse, and they were only allowed to prescribe so many pills at a time, Vikes, T3s, whatever it was. Right. They could only prescribe so much. I'd go to the VA, I'd walk out with a fucking cannon of these things. The VA will just literally hand them out. And she's like, no doctor can give you that many. I'm like, I got 8 months of pills here. What the fuck is this? Jesus. And it was stupid. It was just too much.
Yeah, definitely.
They're just too easy.
Definitely an epidemic.
Yeah. Okay.
So you guys off.
I was a little bit luckier. My homie was put on Xanax at 9 years old, and at 14 tried heroin for the first time. So it just different strokes for different folks, But I always told myself I'd never put a needle in them. I'm sure if I kept going with the oxys and stuff, there's gonna be no choice.
It's a dark road to go down. You know what I mean? Because it might start with pills and with spoons and
To kind of wrap that up, till you guys ask how serious it is. 4 years ago, I had hand surgery. It's documented that I'm a recovered addict. They administered fentanyl in my sleep to regulate my heart. Just a small amount, they say. I withdrew for 5 days. It sent me right back to where I was. I didn't even know that I had it. I was asleep.
Right.
I was sick as heck, started looking into my medical charts, and I found it.
Really?
Yeah, so my whole thing is they can say whatever they want, but they know what's going on. They're just doing it like how I said through those channels as well. When it comes to a situation like me, especially if it's in your chart or whatever, they're just seeing if you're going to become part of society again, or if you're going to be part of what I see as the biggest part of population control. You're literally creating zombies that aren't a part of society, and most people can't walk away from it.
Yeah. That's true. There's a lot of different ones that can trap you. You know what I mean? Different types of those drugs.
Yeah.
Not just painkillers or whatever, but there's we've talked about it on here before, but everything from the SSRIs to, I don't know. There's just a lot of different drugs out there. Whether it's physically addictive, we know cannabis isn't, there's no physiological addictive properties like that. Habitual, maybe, right? But I'm not saying that. But you can stop it and not, have serious issues with alcohol or heroin or something like that, right? It's scary because there's a lot of things that might be physically addictive that you don't have control over.
I like that you put alcohol and heroin in the same grouping.
Yeah.
Because I've been talking a lot about it on my page recently. I have a lot of friends that are recovered addicts, people going through it in both realms, right? But people don't see alcohol that way because it's so normalized and it's put everywhere.
That's the problem.
It should be demonized. It should be illegal. It should only be used in medicinal situations. But it's not. It's everywhere.
I think cannabis should be regulated somewhere in between caffeine and tomatoes. And we were talking today, we were laughing today about how fucking packed all these coffee shops are. And just how they're doling out the most dosed up drug we provide, which is caffeine. You know what
it's
I mean?
not even like good coffee beans. They're full of all kinds of other shit.
Well, think about the energy drinks and shit off the shelves, bro. Like, listen, I drink it all, but it's crazy. It's crazy. Like that nicotine. You know what I mean? There's a lot of them that are just so widely accepted, yet so. I mean, that shit is physiologically addicting. Like, good luck getting off that. Take my word for it. You know, like. Coffee every morning, man.
I gotta have my half a pot.
Yeah.
I don't function. My brain don't even come out of its fog until I got a half a pot in me.
That
got serious, man. That got serious.
Yeah.
It's usually a lighthearted show.
We're getting back to that.
You guys are getting deep. This is a deep one.
It's the casting couch version.
And it's like a whole new realm.
All the feelings are mixed in.
It's the casting couch.
Who's here before us?
Don't worry about that. Find out later. Where'd you, not to like be like Narcan or anything, I think we're probably past the statute of limitations here, but where'd you get the weed from the first time you smoked when you were like 14, and was it your friend's older brother?
It wasn't the homie. Like, honestly, I don't know, like, what had happened. I was just a bystander, right?
You were one hit Tommy.
When I saw it, I'm like,
around.
that's weed? That looks like oregano.
Okay.
And then the homies smoked it. They smoked half. They're like, this weed is shitty. So they mixed it back with oregano. And gave it back to the guy that sold it to him and got their money back. And it was just a really, really weird scenario. Super weird. Just like little kid stuff. It's crazy because we had more like concept and knowledge, like good drugs with opiates than we did, cannabis. Right. It's just wild.
Yeah, that's just so scary nowadays. Just with the fentanyl stuff, it's like it's not even worth it.
Well, the whole problem is kids are so stupid nowadays that they don't test their drugs. I always had test kits. You know what I mean? Like,
I
guess eventually you hit at such a junkie stage that you don't do that. But
fair enough.
I was a junkie that didn't know that I was an addict, and I didn't have to steal from my family. I was like a kid and doing sports and this and that, and snowboarding all the time. So it wasn't like something that I had to do. I just didn't eat right growing up as a kid. So money went towards drugs, and I did too. So I'm like,
I snowboarded. What? I had a brownie. So how do you get from 14 years old being a one-hit Tommy to owning a dispensary here in Michigan now? Like, tell us a little bit about the story in between. Like the cannabis focused stuff, because this is a cannabis focused show, and then we're going to talk about that shirt you got.
So honestly, everything kind of revolves around me being an addict. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
My entire life was that growing up, from being put on SSRIs at 7 years old. Damn. And basically 16 DUI on Xanax. From 15 to 18, I was doing 120 to 180 milligrams of morphine or oxy, whatever I could get my hands on. I'd literally sometimes be so high on the way home from school, I'd have to pull over because my eyes wouldn't stop watering and I couldn't fucking see. I'd have to like sit there for like 15, 20 minutes, like just to chill out, and try to get my eyes to stop watering, And basically I got to the point through LSD and stuff, and I had a really bad dirt bike accident. Basically I was the type of guy where like I did 5 tabs and went to after prom. I had people freaking out because they saw like I don't know what they saw in me, but they saw that I wasn't here. And by the time we got to the place up in Grand Rapids from Lawton, my buddy tapped on my shoulder and it was like, whoa, I feel fine now. Like, but I don't know what I just went through. It was like Harry Potter vibes and all this other crazy stuff. But a few times after that was like deep into it. basically, I had an experience that just kind of freaked me out. I like had basically dished out 50 tabs to the homies. It was a graduation party. I was rubbing strips in my hands. I was peaked for like 22 hours. I tripped for like 48 to 50 something hours. And when I came out of it, I was just like, all right, I think that I learned whatever I need to learn in life from that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Year and a half later, drugs and everything still, coke comes into my life. Year and a half later, I get in a dirt bike accident where basically when I woke up, I was I couldn't have feeling from my waist down. And I was just like, at first I went to go get up to pick up my dirt bike, and I like sat up and I was like, whoa. And I sat back down, and like then the pain started kicking in. I started grabbing my hands because I felt like tendons ripped. I got in my pocket, got out my phone, called my parents to come pick me up. When I hung up and I like breathed out, I looked across the field, it turned into the motion of the ocean, and I tripped for basically what was 7 or 8 days.
Whoa.
I was sober for a year and a half. I didn't do L before that dirt bike accident, you know. But basically, and mind you, like this is easy for me to talk about now, but I've went through stuff that made it easy to talk about, conversations with people. Basically, the 7th morning, I went into a doctor's appointment with my mom, and because I didn't want to be alone. Her purse melted into a puddle on the table, dripped off, and the drips splashed and stuff. I told her that I was tripping, that I fucked up in life, that I should have never done it, you know. And to this day, like if I'm on mushrooms or anything and talking about L, I will still get sick and throw up, you know. It's easier to talk about now sober because of other conversations. But basically that night I went on a walk to commit suicide. I walked from basically where my dispensary is to the north side of Papaw in between Gobles. It was about 16 miles. And left, you know, right before dusk. I was just going to step in front of the semi. I couldn't take it anymore. And semi never came. I got to I-94, waited for 5 minutes for a semi. Semi still never came. I just kept walking, random car pulled over. They're like, hey, you want to ride? I was like, not if you're going that way. They're like, we just turned around. Where do you want to go? And I was like, where are you going? They're like, we were going towards Lawton. I was like, yeah, I'll get in. I took it as a sign from God. I was always meant to live no matter what happens. And then the next morning I woke up and I was fine. Went through the worst depression ever, still an addict. Maybe, I don't know, like 6 months, year later, something like that. I got in a weird situation with the coke and almost died. My heart was like palpitating so hard my friends could see my hand going like this on their like if you were standing there and you had your hand on his chest, we would be able to see it. And they're like, you got to get out of the house, dude. You can't die here. Like, we have drugs here, blah blah blah. So I leave, I go home. Mind you, this is a year and a half into coke. We were doing an 8-ball a night. Homie was pushing stuff that we were cutting down ourselves because it was 99% pure. I'm talking like bricks that we were seeing, you know. And I wasn't selling it. I was just a user. Homie was very gracious at the time, I suppose, whatever you want to call it. But I had that happen. The next morning I woke up. It was the first time I ever went without drugs. I was fucking scared. Didn't know what the fuck I was doing in life, you know. Never had something like that happen. And basically just throughout the day, like started walking into withdrawal. And it was the first time I ever felt something like that because I'd never been without. And that feeling, I started contemplating stuff. It was 8-ish years ago, and I'll be 28 in July. I basically realized that I was an addict more than half my life. And if I didn't walk away then, I never would. When I walked away from it, I went down the worst path ever with health issues. Ended up in Cleveland Clinic and stuff.
Really?
And 3 doctors did a bunch of testing on me. They basically, after 3 days, told me that my testing was all inclusive, nothing pointed to any factors. They saw me pass out, saw all my health symptoms, all this stuff, and couldn't prove anything. They asked me if I'd ever considered being allergic to cannabis. And I told them, no, this is the best health I've ever been in. Do you know of anything in the world that someone can take more of and feel better, if they're allergic to it? And I just told them that I didn't take their medication in 6 months, and that was the best that I had been. And they told me that if I was being honest, that I shouldn't go back to centralized hospitals, that their parameters can't get to the bottom of my root cause. I have to hire third-party testing that's probably hundreds of thousands of dollars, not covered by insurance. And they just told me to stop wasting my time with them, basically.
Oh,
and
okay.
They were really nice about it. Like, I sound different. They were so nice about it. They were very upfront, And it's the only reason why I walked away from that and started building a caregiver facility, and then flipped that from that into a grow. Walked away from the grow license just to go full retail to create a safe haven for us and others, hoping that more caregivers would stand up in the industry. But unfortunately, a lot of caregivers fortunately, caregivers are doing great in either market, for the most part. And I think that that's a cool thing. But I also want to see caregivers have a bigger footprint in the legal market. So by having a safe seed to sale that is directly correlated by the caregivers and what they want to see.
What do you think that would look like in Michigan?
What do you mean?
Easy way for caregivers to step into the market, because they thought they were doing that with the micro business, right? That didn't pan out.
Yeah, no. The micros are horrible because you can't bridge to the legal market, and the best way is to just put your money forth. People are telling us between a grow facility that we'll have this event at tomorrow and a dispensary that is operational, we are going to have $2.5 to $5 million into it, said and done. We have $250,000 into it. We did everything ourselves. We started in 2016 and 2017, 2019 in December, walked away, started doing the dispensary. It's doable, a lot of people just gatekeep. And not only that, but like once people get into the market, they're like, oh, I just need to be a new buffer. But it's like, don't you understand supply and demand? 300 people will show up to one store because it's the only store in the state. You have to hire employees just to keep up with the flow rate, And it's like, but instead you want to spread it so thin and far, you could sell out the first day and you get your money. And it's like, instead you have it in every shop. And it's like, well, that's not really supply and demand, and not only that, but those dudes are the type of guys that take losses on products. So like they'll buy stuff that is very expensive hash and they'll sell it for like $20-$30 a gram, and
just to bring in the customers, basically. Just
to bring in the customers, they know that they're going to buy everything else off the shelf.
Yeah, it's in business, it's called you have your loss leader.
Yeah.
You always have something that you lose money on that is there to entice the customer because it's something you have unique. And then your average purchase is never just that item. So
we just talked about that because that Leaf Link, I think it was, report came out, and it was like about how it's not about bringing in, like, I forget exactly how they put it, but I think it was about like just increasing the average like cost or like sale per customer, like per visit kind of thing, versus like just bringing in more customers, because there's acquisition costs for new customers.
Yeah, so you have your acquisition cost, but then you also have your lifetime value of your customer. So you don't ever, people talk about average cart value, which is your single sale.
That's what it was.
Yep.
That's what it was.
But they also talk about lifetime value of that customer. So getting a loyal customer, acquisition cost, you're willing to pay more because that person's going to be loyal to you for 2 years, however long. But not everyone's a loyal customer. Most customers in Michigan, especially in cannabis, are price shoppers.
Yeah.
Most of the people.
Well, okay, I want to ask you this. What percentage of, what's that?
Equipment market are shoppers as well.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, especially right now in the market, everyone's wanting to save a buck.
Money conscious.
Yeah, a little more
money. It's just that environment. Right.
That's true.
It's funny because
a little bit too.
I read an article the other day about COVID, when COVID hit. Yeah. All stimulus checks and work from home, and that people were saving money because of it. And all of a sudden, everyone started spending more. And that's where I think, were we talking about it? The automotive costs? Maybe not. Automotive costs peaked and went ridiculous. If you look at the price increases, it's not linear. COVID hits and it fucking hockey sticks. And now we're starting to see a slow decline in automotive sales or automotive costs to the consumer. So you're actually seeing trucks come down 10, 15 grand. Like, fuck, no one wants a $120,000 truck.
The Wagoneers have fucking fallen off.
A lot of them have. And I think that's part of it is, people aren't spending as much right now. So like you see it in a lot more.
Well, yeah. Dude, I bought my previous truck in 2019, I think, right before COVID hit. I put on like 75,000 miles, sold it for the same amount I bought it for.
Because there was nothing available.
When
COVID was on, I was looking for a minivan because my kids came and I was like, I need a fucking minivan now. Right. You know? Right. So now I got to shop for a minivan. So I go to Honda. I'm like, I'm going to get a dope one at least. I get one. Yep. I get there and they're like, yeah, the lot's back there. There's, there it is. Check it out. And I'm like, what do you mean? The lot or the one fucking van that we have in stock in the state? And I'm like, this is a big fucking state, California.
Right.
Nope, that's it.
Dude, I remember driving by lots like Ford, Chevy. There's just nothing on them. They'd have like 5 cars out front to make it look, because you can't see past them, but the whole rest of the lot was empty.
Nothing's coming in.
Well, housing was the same way though. I mean, I bought my house at the right time because I bought it pre-COVID, and I bought acreage, ridiculous house. My neighbor's property, which is less property than mine, has no house, just a garage. Just sold during COVID more than I paid for my house. And I wanted that lot, but I'm not paying $290,000 for a garage.
Crazy market.
That everyone wanted
COVID screwed up everything. We started building the dispensary 2 months before proceeding towards a market crash, and that market crash was prolonged by 2 years due to COVID.
Yeah.
I had a homie in the caregiver market in Kalamazoo that was doing 3 to 10,000 on a weekday, maybe 3 to 6, and then 10 to 20,000 on a weekend per day. And he was paying his drivers 30,000 a month. Like, it's like the amount of stupidity that craze created. Like, people were getting money for 10 kids and just freaking blowing it on themselves.
Well, getting told to stay at home and do nothing. They can't go buy seeds or buy paint and shit like that. And then here's the other thing. We went from illegal in Michigan outside of our medical program. We went from illegal for just your everyday adult to essential in 3 or 4 months.
Right.
It went from an illegal business to an essential business in the state of Michigan in like 4 months. And they allowed drive-throughs and curbside and all this shit they were never going to allow.
Right.
And it just, everyone had money in their pockets. It's like, let's go get some weed. Let's go smoke and go up north. Like,
we got hit right at that point. We had just completed our factory expansion. We just spent $10 million of the bank's money, and we got our certificate of occupancy. And then they said no manufacturing in the state of Michigan. What do you do? You got a banknote due in 30 days.
Yeah. That's crazy.
We have to print product. We have websites running. So we were thankfully, that's what we ended up automating a lot. Yeah. That's why we had to automate.
Mm-hmm.
COVID forced us into automation. So, I mean, it forced us to remove people from a lot of our systems. We can't go down. Just
less failure, hopefully.
Yeah,
right.
Well, and let's be honest, no one wants to do some of those jobs. Like, those jobs were monotonous. Just position a t-shirt, line it with a laser, press a button. Position a t-shirt, line it with a laser, press a button. That stuff sucks.
Just putting the stickers on today. I had to put
oh my gosh,
200 stickers on.
200!
You don't understand. Like, I purposely, on my packaging, my whole career has been minimal because I hate putting the stickers on. And now, like,
can I tell you that's my favorate fucking part?
Is it?
Yes, because we're like, I'm cloning plants that I've hunted or whatever. We're vegging them out, transplanting, make sure clones get taken again so I can perpetually grow them, put them in a flower. harvest them, freeze. No, we're not freeze drying, but put it, get a back seal in the freezer so it's fresh frozen. Process it, get it all whipped up or whatever. Get it broken down into those jars. Get the lid on, and the last thing I gotta fucking do is put that sticker on. 6-7 months worth of work. The last thing I gotta do.
That's the door closing.
Yeah, it's like that. Is the final product. You know what I mean? And all I had to do was put that sticker on.
Just the one on the top.
Yeah,
that's easy. I'm down with that, but no, I got one on top, one on the front side.
I was just gonna say,
bitch, to line up and the perforation and like.
I was just saying, did you go overboard with the design? Because a lot of people do that though, where they'll do the wrap and then the top has to also align.
Yeah.
And then
I asked him about it, bro. And he says, "Look at this one," and I'm like,
I did one or two, and then I'm like, "Bro, it's gonna take forever." So hey, you guys, I tried, man. When there's more people involved, I'm gonna be like, "Hey guys, line the fucking thing up," and I'll spend a couple bucks to pay someone to do it right versus. It's 9:30 at night, man. I'm hungry as fuck. I get here, I haven't slept in 2 days. I'm going on Steam right now. I was like, fucking, let's get these stickers.
This is me 3 weeks ago, right before Hash Bash got. It's just like, okay, I have so many stickers to put on. It's too late for this shit. I need to sleep.
You gotta get the damn machine, man, where you just feed the jars and.
Anyone wants to sponsor a machine with the stickers?
Yep.
There you go.
Just give me a call. You're pointing over here.
It sucks, man, because Alibaba now we're screwed. You can't just order the machines on Alibaba for $1,000.
Yeah, they're $4,000.
Because a lot of my shit, most of my shit, I'd say 99% is made in America. So I'm like, yeah, let's go. Because all the other brands I know are. I'm a USA manufacturer.
Companies,
I love seeing USA win.
The fan works pretty good in the bathroom, but probably not with that thing.
The more
it does work pretty well.
The more I can see people support the local brands. I've always been about support local, support small business. Mm-hmm. I try to shop at the local plumbers, supply place versus Home Depot and shit like that.
Mm-hmm. That's what's so cool about living in a small area like I do. I mean,
still
100%
still around.
The hardware store was owned by the same family for 100 years.
Yeah,
they just sold it, and now everyone in the town was the new people moved in, new family to take over, and everyone in town was like, "Don't fuck this up." You will burn it down. You have a fucking legacy.
Yeah, this is all our town has left.
Yes.
It's Home Depot's knocking on our door.
We don't. I have to drive 4 hours to Home Depot,
right,
or Lowe's. There's none.
That's what it was about. And now, most towns, I drive across the country a lot on different you don't see a lot of those small shops. So being around here and getting involved and doing the cool stuff in local Michigan, this is a bitchin' ass fucking area, dude. I'm surprised more people, the value of the real estate's going up because more people are realizing that that's where the value in life is it's not at Home Depot and the cookie cutter life and everyone's fucking rat racing to the same piece of cheese. It's relaxing and actually enjoying your life and
having a balance. The work-life balance thing was off for a lot. And COVID, I think that opened a lot of people's eyes. Wait, we can work from home? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I spend more time with my family and still get my shit done and probably get it done, honestly, faster, with less distractions or whatever. And I think people started valuing that. That's why
the brakes a bit. That's what COVID did.
And sent a lot of people out of the city, man. The real estate value in the rural areas, everywhere.
Everything's sold up by me.
Yeah.
They were doing virtual walkthroughs and people were buying the property without ever seeing it. A family showed up. This guy was an IT guy who was going to work from home. They showed up. They were like, "Can you tell us where our house is? We don't even know where the road is.
We'll pay triple if you could just
the road.
hey."
They couldn't find their road because it's you got to go a couple of turns and you're through the woods at that point.
in LA, it was maybe probably worse. There's so many more people, and we were trying to find something with my kids, and that's one of the reasons why we moved back to the East Coast. It's just more challenging in LA, even for the schools.
Bro,
and stuff.
I don't know how I couldn't do that.
We were talking about that before.
Funds, the state just gave fucking everything to the bums. They just give them liberty to do what they want, basically. Here you go.
Going to LA was definitely life changing.
Bro.
How long did you spend out there?
Just to check it out.
How long did you spend out there?
remember. I think like just like a week or
Yeah.
like 5 days or something like that. But like
You do a lot in a short time. Welcome to LA, bitch.
I didn't realize what was going on, right? We were walking down the street, and I don't think you were with us, but it was two of my homies. We just went like right down the block from the gallery to get a coffee. All these people are like walking, or it's like the morning-ish, you know. People are walking around this group of people sitting there rolling dice or something, right? And this dude, I'm not even kidding. I can't even do it because I'm not a crackhead. But we're walking by, and my buddy's like, yo, look. And I'm like, yeah, dude, it's two crackheads playing dice. And he's like, no, look, dude, they're fucking hitting a pipe. And I'm like, what? And he's like, look, dude, you're missing it, bro.
Right in the
This
middle.
dude would literally, as he would roll his dice, somehow he would like crinkle up and his head would go up underneath his jacket, like by his crotch. I'm not even kidding. I don't know if he had a rib taken out or what, but he would get down there and he would hit the crack pipe. And you could like see the little flame and everything. And I was like, oh my heck, all these people don't even realize it. I almost missed it, you know?
Jeez.
And it's like, it's a
care
wild
if you
place. And then piss just
Yeah.
like draining
Well,
down the
cars
street.
on fire.
Dragon apps and
Just
Yeah.
like mattresses sticking out of a tent door with like they got TVs in there, generators running, like bitches,
Just you
and, like,
random
a
shit.
chandelier, video games. It's like this is a fucking really actually
Wild
like,
West
what's
all
that?
over again.
It's wild.
Yeah, I don't have to pay rent and just
Yeah.
play video games and
Wouldn't that be
just
nice?
smoke out all day.
Another one I went in 2021, it was after the Cecil Netflix thing had been released, and me and the homies walked down there to look at it. And there's like a new part that they're renovating on the left for like loft apartments or whatever. But you could literally see on the Cecil side, like messed up draped like blankets and stuff hanging from windows and the balconies and stuff because there's still people living in there. And, like,
Jeez.
I was trying to get my homie to go in, and he's like, "Bro, I don't have a gun on you."
We
Get
used to-
poked by someone with a needle right around the
We used to
corner.
go urban exploring in Detroit all the time. Like growing up, that was just what we did. We would just the old Packard plant.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
they're the
just,
same
that's a
in
good one.
Bridgeport.
Yeah, you
Connecticut.
just-
Really?
Spray paint and shit.
yeah, you just wander around and then all of a sudden you got some scary guy screaming at you.
Yeah.
Shortly after we started
Look,
working,
this is old factory.
shortly after we started working downtown, that's when they found the guy frozen in the elevator shaft in
Jesus.
the Packard plant. He had fallen into the water. Down the elevator shaft, fell in and then froze. And someone was like walking on the ice and they tripped over his shoes. That's
Oh
all
my
that was
God.
sticking out. Was the
Damn,
tire.
dude, that's wild.
That's so crazy.
Detroit was so.
I remember growing up going to
It's so much better now. I just
it's
wish
an
that damn
amazing
Packard.
place, dude. When I went to LA, we went to Chicago,
Yeah,
and
man,
I was like,
fuck
"What
right now.
is this place?"
Yeah.
Detroit's
to
100 times better than Chicago.
Well,
you know?
Chicago, it surprised me. Like you're probably too young, but Cabrini Green, when I was a kid, was dangerous in Chicago.
I've heard of Cabrini.
Cabrini, like the cops didn't go to Cabrini Green. They would position snipers. Like the gangs controlled that entire area. I went there. The LinkedIn flipping headquarters is where Cabrini Green used to be, and it's like called Cabrini Commons now.
Dang.
I'm like, what? It's all hipsters and coffee shops.
Gentrified.
Yeah, that's the word I was trying to think of what it
I'm
was.
looking around like, good
Gentrified.
lord, like,
It's all like hipsters and
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's exactly what that is.
holy shit, I thought-
Yes.
that was the first
No
time. That was the first time that gentrified felt good.
Lots of
I'm like,
Patagonia.
that felt good to me because I was like, this was scary as a kid, and now it is night and day.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it's,
that's
a,
kind of
it's a
like
good thing, though, right?
Yeah, it was. No, it really
Yeah.
was. I mean, our offices were there. Our Chicago offices
Really?
were right there, right in the LinkedIn building. It's just how weird is that? The LinkedIn building is.
They find a way to
cheap
do
real
it.
estate, man.
I
That
know.
corporate headquarters.
Ugh,
That's the
yeah,
cool
that's a
thing
whole
about
thing.
weed too, in like some of those real fucked up areas, like
Yeah.
downtown LA, where the cars are burning and shit.
Mhm.
Cool shit is happening, like because of cannabis. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
fixing up some of those areas because they're buying some of that real estate.
A lot of towns around
Downtown
Michigan.
LA
really.
in certain sections, it's fucking rough. But then you get down to like where Jungle Boys is at, and,
Yeah.
like a couple other big players,
Uh-huh.
and they got like their dope cars parked out front, and the security guards.
You start getting a little-
and it's a dope, vibe. It's
Yeah.
a change
Yeah,
in the
When-
environment, which is needed.
yeah.
When we bought our factory, where we are just outside of Detroit, when we bought the factory, it was a rough area.
Yeah.
Untouched. We were the first business to move into that area in a long time.
Cheap real estate, yeah.
Cheap real estate. And it was a giant building. So it was an old school that we converted initially.
Okay.
And then the first thing we did was put up a fence all the way around because it didn't take but 3 hours of being in the building to have a catalytic converter stolen.
Oh, right.
Oh, jeez.
So we put up fences and gates and all that.
Yeah. They're
And
plugging
then
in their phones.
literally,
on the perimeter.
there was a hotel next to us that we called the Hooker Hotel because it had a vending machine with panties and condoms and stuff. A vending machine. In the
hourly
lobby.
rates.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah,
So-
hourly rates. That's how I know.
That place now is a complete hipster hotel. Complete turnaround. Like
They did the same thing in my town. It's like
It's-
their sister towns.
once we built it, it just spread. It was pretty crazy. I mean, Quicken Loans put some stuff in. It needed that area needed it. I mean, it's gorgeous
My
now.
mom was like, her friend came to town. She's like, yeah, she told me where she was staying. I was like, that fucking hotel is fucked up. That's where the hookers stay and shit. I'm like, are you sure she wants to stay there? And my mom was like, they cleaned it all up and renovated it and stuff. I was like, I still wouldn't stay there.
Right. Yeah, I just don't say that. I've seen too many things.
But it's cool to see the
Yeah.
freshening up.
It is. I mean,
Yeah, it's with the cannabis stuff. It's interesting because they're kind of doing it like one industrial park at a time. Right?
Yeah.
It's zoning stuff. You know what I mean? There's,
Green
yeah,
zone.
here's a street full of buildings. Who wants to buy them for
They're
$3
the
million a
most-
pop? You know,
The most fucked up ones we could find.
Yeah, yeah.
That are in a strip. You guys could have them.
but it's got a lot of power. That's all
Yeah,
I'm looking
I
for.
was just gonna say
Yeah,
you have high ceilings,
Infrastructure.
cement walls,
Yeah.
and a lot of power.
Yeah.
Just like
Environmental factors to deal with.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
The
yeah.
neighbors.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
right.
We got some EPA cleanup to do, but you know, we'll
Yeah.
get there when we get there.
Green sludge.
Yeah.
So tomorrow it's 10 o'clock. Is it a demonstration or is it your normal like seminar? Like what?
No. Yeah, it's gonna be just a short like
Okay.
lecture type
Okay.
thing.
Cool.
Q&A, whatever everyone
Nice.
wants to talk about. I'll try to do some demo stuff, but I didn't have the ability to set up equipment and all
Okay.
that stuff.
Okay.
We were wondering what the plan was. That
Yeah.
sounds
Yeah, the main goal, dude, is just like every event kind of has this factor involved in it, but the main goal was to bring everybody together and like the education kind of pushes that along because everyone's like, I want to learn and share. So that's
the
always
networking
just
is
makes it
worth it.
yeah. But really, like for me, the main thing is like I love to have everyone together. You know, I didn't have big birthday parties and shit when I was a teenager. I had like a bunch of friends, so it's cool
fun.
later in life to like relive my youth. I guess do the parties I ever
Well,
wanted
it's-
to.
Good old sesh.
We've said this a few
Yeah.
times, but it's not what you know, it's who you know. You know what I mean? And like,
Yeah.
It's all about the
networking.
conversations.
Yeah.
And the environment too, like you couldn't go to a weed party when I was younger, so I was at home smoking weed by myself.
Right,
You know,
right.
now like we could all smoke weed together.
I know. I want to really bad right now when I'm looking at these smoking
I know.
packs and shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh my God,
So
when no
tomorrow
one-
we'll make up for today.
We'll be probably stepping outside here shortly, but
So, what flavors can we expect tomorrow?
Yeah, so tomorrow we'll do like a lecture. I'll do as much demo as I can. I got books. Everybody will look at the book, do all that stuff. And then flavor wise, I brought some stuff to show you guys.
okay.
Some Death
I
Coast.
got, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Death
Talk
Coast,
about that.
Best in the market.
We like that one.
Dark Rainbow.
Have you had it from him?
2 weeks ago.
Let's go.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It was
Did I
like
get best in the market as well?
it was the first time I've heard of it.
I was like, did I get it?
Yep. I don't buy much out of the metric market just because I'm a caregiver and I supply my own stuff. You know what I mean? But when he brought that by, he had like 3 different flavors. They all smell great, but that one stood out to me, and I was
Dude.
like, I wanted to have that one right
Even
now.
at 600, it comes through so good.
Yeah.
Really?
Flavor. Like, it's amazing.
That's my favorite one too, out of the
Yeah.
ones that are dropping.
I'm
my
definitely grabbing some of that tomorrow.
I don't know.
We got some Dolce.
There's some
Oh,
texture
I
to
love
that
Dolce
too. It's
too.
pretty
Good.
crunchy when you dip into it.
What else was there? Dude, I'm losing track because we got a bunch of new ones coming
Just
too.
focus it on your shirt.
Banana Conda's coming down with that.
That's the one that you said.
Need a light over
I got a
here?
little bit of that.
Probably.
too, to let you try. Strawberry Fizz is coming down.
Oh, there we go. It's coming in
There you
focus
go.
a little bit.
What's the other ones?
So that's the Death Coast.
I like strawberry cough too.
Z Cake,
Yeah.
Oh, it smells so
Z
good.
cake, black
Black
maple.
Maple. That was the fifth.
I had a black maple cross. What was that one?
I just had Black Maple by Peninsula Gardens the other day. Not too shabby.
So good, dude.
I got nothing else to say about it.
In a room.
Yeah.
I'm not even having it. You know?
There's some different phenols floating around in the Black Maple. What was the one that we had? No,
Yours is 22.
22.
Yeah.
See, he knows it better than me. I'm so bad at names.
I am too, man.
So bad.
I think number 3 is the normal one that's going around, right? Like that's the one that most people have.
No, I got no
I don't
idea.
know.
No.
I feel like that's one I've seen quite a bit.
Yeah, but it's
I've been
all
kind of digging that Dolce de Juve that's out there.
Yeah, I got. We're dropping them.
Just
Yeah.
to try
It's
it
all
for the
living
first time.
soil, fucking no pesticides, no till living soil. There's worms in there.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
The
Right up
growers
my alley.
locked in. Got the fucking soil reports coming back and all
Okay.
that stuff. The team handles that shit, dude. They got it locked in. So that was one of the dope things about partnering up with these guys. Was like everything that I would do, they do. So, you
You
can't
already covered.
do, you can't do everything, and I don't want to do. I spent years growing. I don't really love
Yep.
Certain
that
point, you gotta
part of
delegate.
it.
I've said it before. A business owner surrounds himself with people that can do the shit that he can't.
You can't grow unless you
Teamwork
do less.
makes a
You have to.
difference.
No one can do it all
People never
alone.
understand what that actually means. Though.
I mean, in my business, even especially, we're a partnership. There's 2 of us.
Yeah,
He takes care of all business. I take care of all tech.
yeah,
I don't want to do the fucking business
for
side.
sure.
Hate that side.
That's kind of like what
And-
my partner does, man. He's business.
Yeah,
venture, all
and
that
we've
shit.
been hiring like you got to hire superstars.
Yeah.
You got to find your superstar team.
Unless you find a good partner that
But you got to have like your accounting team and this, and, like your growers, your managers.
Metric.
Yes.
Fucking, yeah.
a good marketing guy.
Compliance.
Yeah.
Marketing is another one. Yeah. I mean, we talked about this before on the show that I don't care what business it is. You've got to be a marketer first.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you are.
Well, you got to do your market research, due diligence
Yeah.
reporting, basically, is what they call that.
I worked at HEB, it's the largest grocery chain in Texas.
Okay.
They used to say they are a marketing company, then they are a tech company, then they're a grocery store. Quicken Loans, they are a marketing company and then a mortgage company.
Right.
Every
It's like McDonald's is real estate and
Yeah.
then restaurant.
yeah, like it's normally a weird mix. You don't really realize that you're going to spend so much more on marketing than you would on your core business. Once your core business is running and you get the pieces in place to do what,
They're just trying to grow.
then you're trying to expand your reach.
Yeah. Well, it's same with we all know from Michigan here, the Sam Bernstein family, and they are just a marketing company because they do all the marketing. You call up 1-800-CALL SAM when you slip and fall, right? And then or you get in a car accident or whatever, and yeah.
Well, how many of us could sing the Empire phone number?
Well, but here's the thing: they just send out a lawyer from your area to go work with you. There's no affiliation necessarily with.
Oh, just farming out.
Yeah, you just send it out, but it comes on that Sam Bernstein letterhead. So when that fucking defense lawyer gets it, they're like, "Oh fuck," and that's worth the money right there, So. But yeah, they're not actually showing up, man. They're the marketing team.
They built the brand,
Yeah,
and the brand is scary to other people.
right. It's like running itself practically, based on the marketing.
Oh shit.
And then in this game, it's a lot of it is in the fucking packaging. You know what I mean, and just the presentation of the product, and so it's a lot of it gets spent on that.
I think we kind of jumped the shark though.
I'm trying to change that a little bit.
Yeah.
Man. Like I really tried to slim down the packaging as little as I could. Like the stickers, I was bitching about the stickers, but like the idea was always like with the one sticker on top, fuck all the side shit. It's like what's inside the jar speaks, volumes. So when I was doing the design for the boxes and shit, I was like minimalistic because it's what's about inside.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to do flashy shit.
I agree, bro. That's how it should be. And like it's like unfortunately you almost need a box because of all the labeling requirements, all this stuff. You can't even fit everything on one sticker anymore. So
well, look at what Loom did with their hash rosin. It is a pure white box, gold stamped.
Okay.
And it's gold label. That's all it is. Loom logo, gold label.
Super simple.
And then a sticker on the bottom with it. Like there's nothing There's no cartoons. There's not a fucking toy in the box. It's not like people in California, they're going crazy. New York too.
Yeah, I know.
Freaking
New York is
Some of the stuffy.
Yeah, you got freaking Mylar packages. And you got fucking a calculator watch in the damn thing.
A bag of chips.
Yeah.
I got the munchies, all right?
Down back, I'm giving away big shit. Sausages, Lamborghinis.
Well, slide me up and we're going over there.
I'll call her and have her come by.
I thought you were good about.
If it's with her, then forget it.
So you said the word first, but he's wearing the shirt. And Tommy, I want to ask you the question: what does hash mean to you? Can you define that word for us?
Hash for me would mean anything that's old school, traditionally made. I do like hash rosin and stuff, but I always tell people hopefully get a good chance to show everyone what I talk about tomorrow. But I'm a firm believer that you could smoke hash rosin all day and you think you're high.
We'll see.
When you smoke hash, you're like 2 hits and you're like, okay, now I'm high. Like, I'm actually high.
That full spectrum is
I like aged hash the most. Traditional temple, water hash temple in Michigan is pretty cool. There's a couple guys out there doing it amazingly. This guy has some amazing work. Yeah, I really like Rascal Farmer.
Yeah.
If you guys are,
I got one of his temple balls on my shelf.
He crushes it.
The
meltier the hash that I've had from him, the better. The only thing that I've ever had that was better was some traditional dry sift. I can't remember the strain, but it was shout out Cult Unorganics. He's from out in Virginia and doing some really unique 20 weekers.
Oh wow!
He harvested December 22nd, and so later last year, I got to try his 20 weeker from a year prior.
Okay.
So he picked it up when he dropped off his new stuff.
Okay.
And I still have a little piece that I'm saving for Papa Sip. But that was some of the best hash that I've ever had.
Nice. Really?
Yeah, and I'm sure that this stuff is going to be up there with the age and what the terpenes have done to it and stuff like that,
I definitely aging mine.
Yeah. Are you guys familiar with the traditional chillum?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like the clay ones and stuff?
Yeah. So that's what I really
I've been friends with Rascal for a long time.
Oh,
He's educated me on a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. I take mine everywhere with me, and I literally have hash on me just because, but it's really cool, like the intricacy of everything. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a double stem or a double stone. That would be a double stone.
Sticky.
And it's just really crazy how they get into it.
Are you gonna bust out a flute in a minute?
So,
just like that episode with Tony.
It's just very, very unique, and this is my favorite way of smoking hash.
Okay.
So I'm just wearing a sweater.
Dude,
That was nice.
That
was nice.
I was catching it.
I need a babysitter, dude.
It probably fit 2 to 3 grams in here. I kind of surprised myself at hash batch with baked taters. I had a rod of hash sticking out about that tall, and I was trying to pack it in there. It wasn't working, and I was getting so scared because I've clogged this thing before and had to dump it, only once, thankfully. But I got it lit, and we're lighting it, and I'm hitting it, and it went for about a half hour, and it just kind of sunk in, But the meltier the hash, the better. Otherwise, it burns too fast.
Yeah.
With its melty, you can really work the troughs and the coal and get it dripping down so you can get suction, but then flip it when it's super hot to get the hash to drip back towards the hot pin. Because basically it's a traditional form of vaporizing hash around 80 AD. So the stone heats up as the coal heats it, and then any hash that drips vaporizes. So you're combusting it and vaporizing it at the same time. In my opinion, I've never taken a dab that compares, And you're talking 1-2 hits, and it's you're ready, traditionally use a wet cloth. I don't like it. It's kind of messy.
Okay.
You gotta like
It takes down the temperature.
It does take down the temperature. Some people don't
You
really
put a
like
little
the
water in your
temp.
mouth. And
Yeah.
do like the water bomb.
I just
No,
like
seriously,
raw
that
dogging
makes
it. I'm
sense,
not
yeah.
gonna lie.
Oh, dude, my throat.
Just thinking about it. You're like,
Divine
I
Pine,
know.
when I first got this, Pop Sif came out. I actually picked one up for Pop Sif too. And he brought a lot of hash that I scooped off of him, and I probably smoked about 10 grams in 3 days at Divine Pine in 24, and it was life changing. You know? The homie, props to him. He was fresh off 6 months of sobriety and just smoking every bowl with me. There was one time that he passed, but there's like 12 people that tapped out, and he's still sitting there smoking with me. I mean, I saw him one day, and I'm like, bro, do you even hear what's going on right now at this seminar? And he's like, yeah, bro, I'm just fucking high, man. I'm like, all right, dude, just checking. Like,
different experience.
Yeah. But it's different. People will find out tomorrow for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll probably wrap this up here shortly because I know we all obviously have big days tomorrow or long days tomorrow too. But tell us a little bit about Green Hippo. Why Brian chose you and what you guys are doing different. And what kind of what kind of license is it? Is it just a provisioning center? Is that what you're running right now?
I do have a provisioning center. We stepped away from a grow license.
Okay. That's right. Okay. So tell us what makes Green Hippo different.
Do you think Brian should answer this or me?
I want you to answer it.
Okay. I would say something that makes us different is the way that we carry ourselves with the products on shelf. We don't have many right now. We just went through winter. It's not a good representation of what we carry. A lot of the brands that we were working with are no longer in the industry, unfortunately. Hypo's no longer here. It's a super sad thing. Trip Scientific just shut down a couple weeks ago. He had $40,000 to $60,000 out in debt, unpaid by dispensaries that definitely got it like that. It's just a super unfortunate situation. I created a board of caregivers to stand up against the market with Trip. He was the only caregiver that stood up and sat on it, you know. It's just super unfortunate. We're here to create a fair market from seed to sale for anyone that wants to stand with us. We implore people to do licensing on their own. We want to see caregivers successful. We don't want to support anyone else. The biggest brand that we have on shelf is Wild and Good Tide because of their backing being one of the only brands that had never took a buyout, never took on investors. They're not the same as High Life Farms or Wana or Kiva or Petra or Tetra or any of those guys involved in the crazy stuff that went on years ago. Basically, our stance in the market is on clean products. So people can say all day, oh, it's in the state allowance, this or that. Everything should be at 0 parts per million. It's not even a question. The industry is so whack. Just kind of throw it out there, which I'm glad that Pelle's taking a huge stance with us. I know he kind of wanted to slow roll it. We'll be releasing all testing into the market. To call out the bad players. I don't know if anyone's realized them. Maybe you guys have, but 2023 November we opened. As we were going into opening and stuff like that, we realized how poison-ridden the market was, especially in the hash industry. You're talking companies, 15 of the biggest companies in the hash industry were hitting 300 to 400 ppms of iso or acetone or this or that, you know, depending the allowance and this and that. They're all at the high ends of everything. I literally had people calling me. I don't really care, so I'll throw names out. You know, dude calls me. He's like, oh, blah, blah. Why do you have this on your website? You don't know what you're saying. There's terpenes and stuff that you're getting confused. And I'm like, ISO is not terpene. And he basically said some stuff about, you know, propane limits being 5,000 ppms at a state level or FDA level for food on table cooked food. And I'm like, yeah, the same people that push poison down everyone's throats, you're like not preaching to the right guy, dude. And mind you, this was the owner of Fifth Age, supposedly the owner of Moxie, one of the first hydrocarbon brands in the States. And this dude was pissed at me for my website talking about 0 ppms and stuff. I said, sorry, dude, I don't have to make money off your product. I was in a facility in 2016 producing 0 ppm BHO. So you're literally talking to the wrong fucking guy. And so through that process, I sent back 15 of the biggest producers in the hash industry, their rosin back on orders. And you technically can't send back orders for testing. So transporter's like, what do you mean? It passed testing. I'm like, no, this shit's poison. Call CRA. They tell me to put it in as an entry error, send it back with a description. I would type in there my reasoning, it's poison, this and that, has this much solvent, everything. I was going to the state meetings and stuff, making a face for myself. And within 45 days, they took out solventless testing in solventless facilities because it's solventless.
Solvent.
Knowing, the solvent testing. Knowing damn well that it's poison ridden. And they just got done telling me to my face, sorry, bud, that's your opinion. I'm like, it's not opinion. This is poison. I throw up daily. I go through the same stuff that I went through with my opiate addiction. You know, it's not addiction, but it will make you sick in the same ways that other stuff messes up your mind and gut, you know. So it's a complete neurotoxin. Everything should be at 0. And yeah. I talked to one producer in the state. They said that they were going to pull testing. I don't know if they have yet, but as far as I know, Pelle's the only one that's done it after the fact that they took it out. Trip Scientific and Peachy Hash & Co. were the only producers in the state that passed my moralistic testing at 0 before they took it out.
Yeah, it cost a couple extra bucks for me to do it, but it's worth. I'm all about that transparency.
Yeah,
it comes down to the customer being able to ask. So another thing that would separate us is we have testing booklets on site. Sometimes it's not always updated because I do everything myself. But if the customer asks, I'm going to pull up metric right there for them, you know. If you go into any family-owned dispensary in the state, they're going to have poison on their product that they're profiting, or on their shelf that they're profiting massively off of. And at the end of the day, we won't sacrifice our morals, even if I have to walk away and be homeless. You know what I mean? We're not in it for the money. We're in it for the craft, for the people, for the medicine, for the healing properties. And you can go in any dispensary in the state and they will not show you testing. They'll say it's not a thing. They'll show you terpenes, THC, this or that. You won't ever actually see the testing. So it shows a lot of morals. It's a big way that we do stand apart. And yeah, I say no to most of the brands in the industry that are making people money because of that. So I would say that that's a big reason why. Ever since I went to his class, he preached cleanliness, you know. So
that's great to hear, man. I think you guys, it sounds like you guys are doing it right. I'm excited to see the place tomorrow. Cool. Excited to fucking taste some terps and just think this whole experience tomorrow, man. So I'm looking very much forward to it.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be fun. Dope to finally put the seal,
the sticker on the
top of the jar, man.
Like I've been preaching all this shit all this time, and like to finally be able to like do the testing and prove to everybody, like, look, dude, this is what I've been telling you about all this time. Why the fuck haven't you been listening? Like, I know we're making people sick. We don't have to. You don't have to sacrifice, your dinner or your family's meal to pump out clean medicine. No sacrifices being made anywhere. And like I'm gonna make money, and everyone's gonna get great rosin for less than they're paying for the mids shit.
The poison. Somewhere else.
So win-win all around. Why isn't everybody doing the same thing? Like Tommy supports that, dude. So all about supporting.
I haven't had many good $60 to $80 grams in the state where they're anything worth dabbing, and most people, I don't know if most people don't have the tolerance that I do or whatever, the sensitivities, but 5 to 7 days into me dabbing stuff that even has 60 parts per million of ISO, I'm going to get sick and start throwing up and vomiting and passing out, just like what was leading me to Cleveland Clinic, And it's wild.
I tested 32 ppms of ISO on one of my extracts years ago. This is after I quit using ISO. What the fuck How is there? I'm not cleaning my stainless steel with ISO. I'm not like there. It's not. Like, is this a byproduct? What the fuck? Because acetone can be a byproduct, right? And just a natural organic byproduct of like a digestive process. But same thing in humans, same thing in plants. That being said, this isopropyl alcohol is not a fucking byproduct. I'm like, how is it getting in there? It's because I cleaned my dab tools with isopropyl before I was packaging it. That was enough to get that result of 32 ppm.
32,
Yeah.
Fucking goddamn it, dude! You can't it's so hard. It's so hard to get.
No, I had 7
7
tests. Like I'm gonna be transparent about it.
Yeah.
Everything was what was it?
Everything has 0. Death coast at 7.
And 7 ppm,
which is
on ISO, and like it was
nothing.
probably. And I rinsed my tools off.
Dude, I've talked to
But
Trent.
that shows
Heat them
me
up,
like,
you
as diligent as I am, and as good as I thought I was doing.
Yeah.
Now I could finally see it on
Not
the
only
paper.
that,
Exactly.
I've talked to Trip a little bit on his cart process too, or one of his hash processes, and his cart hit ppm for it. And he's like, I don't use ISO in my facility, bro. I called the testing facility, had them retested, and it popped. These fucking testing facilities don't even know how
Maybe
to
but they're cleaning their tools
Bro,
before they dip into
like,
your rosin.
I
with
know.
ISO.
I know.
So
I don't trust most of the labs nowadays as it stands.
Yeah.
I spent over $10,000 testing my own products over the years and done hundreds of tests of cannabinoids and terpenes and residual solvents and fucking molds and everything. And it's like I've done it enough times in the same strains over and over again. I'm pretty familiar with what I got. You know what I mean? And that doesn't change too much. My process doesn't change too much. I kind of figured it out, I feel like. But yeah, having that data when you are trying to figure something out and like knowing that, here's all the steps I took and I still got 7 ppms. Now I know what to do. You know what I mean? Like
it's the things you don't think about.
Yeah.
You never thought about that cross contamination.
Yeah. And plus, it's like I'm cleaning my dab tool. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like this is a good thing anyway. Like
7 ppm is like parts per million.
Yeah.
7 parts per
Million.
It's a really small amount.
Right.
So like
there's 8 other decimal points there.
Right.
Yeah, it's nothing. It's the percentage points is absolutely nothing. And yeah, like you can look at food industry guidelines, FDA guidelines, you get OSHA guidelines, all this stuff, right? But we're inhaling. It's totally different. There's not guidelines for this. So it's like if going all the way back to 2015, 16, like there were no standards, maybe before that, there were no standards for ppm in Michigan. And so we were at the time working with a lot of dispensaries in Ann Arbor, and it's like they set their own standard of 200 ppms. And we're like, all right, or I think it was 800 ppms at the time. We're like, all right, let's set ours at 200. You know what I mean? So we're just trying to get, and then we end up getting, these single or double digit numbers, and it's like, all right, now we know we can do that, And then after that all happened, they end up, I think, Metric, the rec market increased the overall ppms. We're like, all right, dude, I'm just like, what are we doing here?
Pump whatever they want.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, even on the hash rosin test, like if you see a cart tested, because they still pull that. Even it probably tests for butane. It's like 800 limit. And
How's it tested for butane?
800 ppm. Even for the solvent test, they'll pull it. That's an allowance,
Mm-hmm.
So even though you're in a solvent facility, if they were pulling those tests, they're basically telling you can have up to 800 ppm of.
I know, but why would it be there in the first place?
No, I know. I'm just saying, it shows how messed up the industry is,
I thought that 800 got raised.
Yeah, like for solvent list, it should be 0.
They're saying it shouldn't be there, but they still allow up to 800.
Yeah.
Right.
So that says there are probably people fucking dumping in some of that butane DHO or solvent list. So it's like, know what you're buying.
And I don't know if they raised. I don't think that they raised that because I've been looking at the test, but I noticed that the propane was like fucking $3,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I thought at some point they raised something to like 5,000 total or something like that. It was a lot. It was just like, what? Why? It's because everyone's failing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They need to figure it out. They don't need to be poisoning the customers. Like they need to figure out their process.
I don't know if the state actually knows what they're doing. If they're just going with putting in their pockets. But it almost to me is kind of back to the alcohol industry and everything else. When you smoke product like that, even 70 ppms, you are literally creating a brain film that detaches you from reality. It is such a neurotoxin. It's not even comparable, So I don't know if that has something to do with them actually raising it, but another form.
I just don't think they have any clue what they're doing.
Yeah,
That's what it seems like to me. It's just a lot of making rules for making rules' sake, and a lot of people, getting in other people's ears to get these rules written and stuff, and all right, let's wrap it up.
You're killing me with the politics. This is why I like making hash so much.
Right?
It's just
Where's
you're,
that
you're away from all the fucking bullshit.
That's why I just like making my own hash
in there in the cold, in your own little igloo with the water.
Cheers, everybody.
All right, we'll see you guys next time. Appreciate you. I hope to see you all tomorrow for some rosin. Cheers.